Hello and welcome to Page Turners with me, Katja. Today we're looking at two Thai books. If you're familiar with this channel, you know that I love translated fiction and global literature. But this is actually the first time that I am reading the works of a Thai author. And I'm curious, have you explored any Thai authors yet? If you have, I'm really eager to hear your recommendations, so please share in the comments below. Or let me know if you're focusing on a particular country's literature instead. Um, and I'm full of questions today. Let me know what draws you to translated fiction. Now, for me, a lot of the stories that I love in translated fiction focus on belonging and identity, with the main characters searching for their place in this wider world. And yet, the strange thing is that, um, and I enjoyed them, these short stories that I'm about to talk about don't cover that in the main part. I'll share why I think this is and what I think comes out more strongly to the forefront instead. So, usually, the books that I read, before I go into the actual short story collection, usually the books that I read are based on recommendations. But 2 years ago, I bought 24 or more translated fiction novels from the publisher Tilted Access Press without knowing anything about the books other than I love their mission to promote a diverse and globally inclusive catalog to the mainstream. So I bought two of their backlist subscription boxes from their online website. Um, I'm not, what is the word? I'm not sponsored. I mean, I don't have to explain that. I'm under 1,000 subscribers, but um, yeah, so that's what happened. And then I've been working my way through these books and sharing my experience with you. And then I realized that actually I have started with all the Korean and Japanese fiction, which is what I'm usually drawn to. So I decided to step back, try something new, and I discovered that I had these two books by Prabda Yoon, who is considered one of the most influential voices in Thai literature. Now, having finally read the books, I can say that Yoon definitely stands out for a unique blend of surrealism, satire, and philosophical inquiry. And the sad part was, let me get them the right way around. The sad part was, and Moving Parts are also award winning short story collections that both received the Pen Translates Award. Um, I don't know if you can see it. That's what the teeny tiny circles on the covers mention. Winner English Pen Award. And I looked it up, and it's a wonderful award supporting international literature translation into English by covering up to 75% of translation costs for UK publishers and ensuring that translators are properly acknowledged and compensated for their work. So I'll add a link to that award for you to check out. Now, in the afterword of the sad part was there's a lot of information by the translator Moi Pupoxical, and I suggest actually reading the afterword first because it gave so much context. In it, the translator, Moi, tells us how Thailand underwent significant urbanization in the 80s and 90s, and that Yoon, a native of Bangkok, has distilled the zeitgeist of a country and its largest city, and in doing so, left behind the older and popular narratives of traditional rice paddies. His first stories provided a fresh focus on a Bangkok that is a burgeoning metropolis adorned with skyscrapers and international franchises. Now, Papoxical and Yoon both have childhood memories of a city on the brink of modernization. I can't speak today. Modernization, and yet isn't overwhelmed by it yet. A time that's really marked by economic buoyancy and also a new political apathy, given the history of politics in Thailand. And that really made the city of Bangkok so ripe for literary exploration. Now, in the sad part was, and moving parts, Yoon uses this really playful language and unconventional in some ways narrative structures, sometimes capturing this dynamic period of Bangkok through the eyes of youthful narrators or narrators who are older and looking back on their youth. So navigating their evolving surroundings with either nostalgia or the curiosity of a child. And this backdrop really allows Yoon to experiment freely with form and content, moving Thai literature away from realism and towards something more textually self aware. And that I think can sometimes be described as magical realism. But sometimes it feels more like when you hear a news story that makes you think, gosh, life's stranger than fiction. I don't know if that makes sense, but I mean, this is obviously fiction, but some of the stories feel like they could just be that sort of strangeness that real life sometimes offers. Anyway, so the sad part was includes 12 short stories that often turn ordinary scenarios into extraordinary encounters. And my top three stories are not only entertaining, but also provoke deep reflection. And the first one, Pen in Parenthesis, is my favorite, though it's actually the most subtle. So you can check that one out for free. I'll put a link in the video description, and it takes you to a magazine where it was first featured and is available for you to just try Yoon's writing, get a sense for his style. So, shifting to moving parts, this tone changes significantly. Yes, it's still very much the same style, but instead of the sort of like poignant stories that we've got here, um, you've got stories that move from like whimsical to unsettling, exploring the oddities of city life. And the narrative approach is really fascinating because most of the stories in moving parts. Um, they start off normal and then they go really surreal. And it examines the relationship that we have with our own bodies and the bodies of others. Anyway, remember when I said I tend to read translated literature because I love main characters who are exploring their personal identity? Well, what makes Yoon's work stand out in both of these collections is his focus instead on societal influences over the individual. So, presenting characters that move through their environments under the weight of societal expectation rather than personal identity crisis, although the two could be said to be linked. And especially the short story that I've linked from the sad part was Pen Parenthesis. That has a focus on perception, communication, and language. But there's a note that the character finds, and the words on that note make me consider that the main character's sense of identity comes into play as well. On the whole, Yoon's writing invites readers to reflect on the broader societal forces at play in their own lives. Now, very quickly going back to moving parts and, well, to both of them. So, three favorites out of 12 in here, three favorites out of 11 in here. And because I talked about it being relationships of body parts, these moving parts, the three stories that stood out for me are one where a couple find a dead body and the impact that has on their relationship afterwards. And then you've got one in which you have to really suspend, it's a suspension of disbelief. So you have to just accept that this is the norm in this world where girls can give their perspective, love interest, people they're interested in dating, they can physically give them their hands to look after over the weekend and see what good caretakers they are, or something like that. And it's a little bit bizarre, but it really sticks with you. And finally, there's one in which a young prostitute brings a grown up man to tears. Those really stood out for me. So these collections have got writing style that is playful and unconventional, blends humor with melancholy, and each story draws us into a world that is both uniquely disorientating and strangely familiar. If you've read these collections, let me know which story is your favorite. These stories not only provide insight into Yoon's perspective on Thai urban life, but also weave together themes of Thai culture, the clash of tradition and modernity, and broader global issues. And yeah, that's it. As we wrap up our exploration of the sad part was and moving parts, I encourage lovers of short stories to dive into these collections. Do give the free short story a try first if you want to get a feel for Yoon's writing. But he does have such versatility. So that's just a tiny little insight into his writing style. Um, give it a go, especially if you don't mind some open-ended narratives. Each story is concise and you can read it straight and be entertained, or you can ponder the larger questions that are lurking within the texts. And if you're still with me, please recommend any Thai books you've enjoyed, as I would love to discover more Thai authors. Please also share any translated fiction that you consider an absolute must read. And remember to subscribe for more insights and discussions on global literature, and share your thoughts on these works in the comments. But before I go, I have actually got a couple more books that I've got lined up. So let me know what your next stop will be in the global literary journey. Mine is going to be Every Fire You Tend by Sima Kaigusos. I think that's how you say her surname. Um, Translated by Nicholas Glastonbury. And then I'm going back to my favorite um, Korean translated fiction, and it's cozy literature. These are from the library: Miracle on Cherry Hill and The Hen Who Dreamed She Could Fly, and both are by Sun Mi Huang. And I've just had a notification from the library to say that a third book from her is in. I think she's only had 3 translated. I can't remember the title of the third one. I know it features a dog. I'll put it in the comments below. And that's it. That's all from me. Thanks so much for joining me. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and take care. Bye.